Well done, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. That was so sweet. What
I
Yeah.
wonderful Q&As.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thanks, guys.
yeah.
It was super fun. I'm sorry I missed Sid. That's unfortunate. Did that
Sid, that was a while ago.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. I only brought him through once.
Yeah, that would be very interesting to hear from him too.
He's a reptilian from a parallel reality. I kind of like how the Sasani are from their own parallel reality. He's from a parallel reality that's imperceivable by human senses at this time.
So is he a counterpart of yours also?
Relatively, he's like a spiritual advisor that connected directly with me. He's assisting with the idea of alleviating the idea of reptilian fear.
Mhm.
Nice.
I guess that's his job, but he chose but he's specific is that in order to do this, he had to choose someone who's not bound by the fear of a reptilian being.
Right.
And my perception of reptilians is different in most people.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a good session.
Very good.
You can find
Yeah,
it. Just look up Sid or look up Travis and go through his.
yeah. I didn't
Hmm.
notice. I didn't notice Ray. I didn't notice Ray talked about Ray when commenting on someone in the post talking negatively about reptilians. He even gave a post with the video of me in it.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
was actually Luis who did that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there's and Angie, there's the link for Sid.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
So if you wish to watch that. Yeah,
I do, absolutely.
it
I
was
have this
exciting.
affinity for the reptilian race. I know I'm connected in some way. I just have a really strong draw to them.
I'm
So,
surprised that hasn't come up in a
He
question yet.
has. Well, relatively, I know. Relatively, he's. What did he say?
I believe Sid said he was related to a counterpart of yours.
No, that was someone else.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I think. Although, wait, was this it? Actually, I don't remember. I channeled so many beings that I get jumbled up.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be Sid. It could be any being I channel.
Yeah, because I kind of asked him if you were a counterpart of his, and he said that he is a friend or an associate of a counterpart of yours.
I remember that most of the Taigans I channel are also that same way as a associate of a counterpart. It was that yeah.
Yeah.
hmm,
And that's very common amongst most channelers, I believe. And Bashar mentioned something about that too, that almost everyone who comes through in channeling is related to us in some way, through our soul groups or through
Yeah, they are.
groupings of soul groups that we're in or whatever it might be.
They're connected to me in some way that does involve my counterparts or parallel incarnations.
Hmm.
Sid might be more of a direct connection
Yeah.
than than some.
Yeah, it's more unusual. I mean, obviously I have some because I didn't bring through 100 beings on those open invitations. I don't know, maybe they're all my counterparts, but I don't think so.
He's a spiritual advisor, at least what he says he is.
Hmm.
He's technically says his ship specifically is positioned is above the Atlantic Ocean, but he never really gave me too much detail on him.
He didn't want to
oh,
give us
that's
more
not
information.
He's
that's that's Oops,
He's literally above a body of water. That's all I can say.
the Atlantic Ocean. I'm on the
Yeah.
East Coast. I wonder where in the Atlantic
Well,
is a big body of
probably
water.
relatively not relatively close to land.
I wonder if any of the extraterrestrial ships ever come into contact with each other on accident. Like, oh, we didn't know
Mm.
you were here. You dented my fender.
Yeah, they
Uh,
pop in at the exact same location.
uh,
They've got to have technology to avoid that.
they probably are very clever when doing that because I don't think they would just I don't think they I think they know and they can sense telepathically which position
Yeah.
has which ships there.
And they could probably control how quickly they phase in so they could kind of like test and, hey, there's
Mm.
nothing here. We can fully materialize now. Of course, that's more Star Trek technology, so I'm sure they got something better.
Something better. No.
So Sid is unperceivable to us. Does that mean he's like 40? Is he maybe middle
He's still he's
inner Earth 40 or something like that?
mm,
I know inner Earth's got some waters.
he all I can say is he's extraterrestrial.
Okay.
So he's
So
not from
definitely
Earth.
not. Okay. And do
And
you
he
have
does not
any?
have any he does not have any expressions of his race in Earth animals, because I asked him that.
Yes, he
Oh, that
does.
was going to
Yes.
be my next question.
No, this
Wow.
he's relatively a
He's
more
humanoid.
humanoid reptile being. He has turquoise skin.
Nice.
He wears like a silverish style robe.
So he doesn't look like any of our reptiles here, but he does have the scaled skin kind of thing, and that's what.
Yes, turquoise skin. He also has turquoise eyes.
Hmm.
We have a lot of reptiles with turquoise skin.
I wonder if he's
Chameleons.
yeah, I wonder if he's water kind of water reptilian, if he's
Now,
turquoise.
I don't know much about his race, and
Hmm.
plus some uh well, I guess Ray already asked him the question if he has anything in common with any of the reptiles on our planet, and I guess I already answered that question.
Yep.
Now we technically don't have dragons on our planet anymore, but so I wonder if he could technically be along those lines.
Well, but in my experience, dragons have never been physical. They are merely energy.
Hmm.
Interdimensional beings, that's what was said in one aspect of
Right.
a channeling that I did for my friend Corey.
But they are given those powers from the early Asian races, the Chinese and such, and they imbued those symbols as representations like permission slips to contact the dragon energy. So they had the power over fire, they had the power over the wind, they had great strength, they could fly, and they attract hordes of information which got twisted into gold and physical substances of value, because obviously what's a dragon energy going to do with physical objects? So they actually attract information which and representations among civilization, which are the diamonds which are represented of that horde.
Now, how does that work then for the Draco reptilians? Because Draco is obviously a
They're
dragon,
they're 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 they're, they're different.
but
Technically,
it's still a
Ryoka
dragon.
talked a little bit about Draco reptilians and some of the and I think he also mentioned some of the misperceptions of how we perceive them, and that's why people have the whole entire fear base of reptilians.
But I mean, Draco is dragon, And they are physical on some level,
Right,
right?
but
Whether we're interpreting them.
Draco means dragon, but Draco's also the constellation that those ones particularly were defined as being from.
right.
So Draco reptilians are connected to the
They're connected
constellation,
to
not
dragon
to
energy.
dragons.
They're connected to dragon energy, but they're not dragon themselves. They're actually more of a physical. They're physical reptilians, but they're part of an ancient old race.
Yeah, like a primordial dragon race, right?
Yeah, well,
Only it's not
kind
only,
of. They're probably more perceived like dragons, and that's why their energy is more connected with the dragons, and that's why people perceive them with dragons as well.
Mm-hmm.
good answer.
Yeah, I think they do look like them. They've got the wings and everything.
Well, yeah, but they're not dragons in
But
general.
but
They're
so you're
perceived as
associating,
dragons, but they're
yeah,
connected with dragon energy, so you can use dragon energy to connect with them.
and you're
Mhm.
associating the wings with dragons when
Right,
that energy
absolutely.
is not it's not physical. So, just because those beings have wings, we associate it with that because that's all of the information we've been given to draw from. When you
So do
go
you
back
think
and you
that's
say,
do you
yeah,
think those Dracos with the wings are partially why we had this vision in our head of wing or dragons having wings because of the Dracos because they had wings?
well, no, I think it's more, I mean, and I don't know this from any other thing other than, my history, but I think that's because they were given that ability because they could fly. And humans couldn't understand how things could fly without wings. So if they fly, then naturally they had wings.
Hmm.
So that's how I think that came to
Draco,
be.
from what I've seen descriptions of them, their wings are small, so they wouldn't be able to fly with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
vestigial.
Yeah, I wonder why they had wings at all.
Eh,
I mean, there
Um,
were avian
I don't know. Maybe they are
humanoids
connected to avian. I
on
mean, Drake.
Earth.
Draco are considered. They go by many names. I think I remember Rob Goff. They're calling them the ancient reptilians, the Alpha Draconians, but
Mhm.
our perception of them is actually a lot different than how most humans perceive a reptilian species, and that's why our entire filter is based on fear.
Yep.
Mm.
And the avians who were humanoid, um, that's where angels came from, a representation of angels, because they were they would help like rescue children who had wandered off and let them know about, hey, this storm is coming, or hey, if you take your boats to this area, there's a lot of fish there. So they were always very helpful for humanity, which is why, when you see these creatures with big wings that are coming to help you, they call them whatever they want, and that story got changed into angels. Excuse me. That's very
Relative.
interesting. I got that from Seth.
Although I
Relative.
have heard that there are like some versions of the Anunnaki species that actually have energetic wings. They like are
I don't
energy
know.
wings.
But the Anunnaki have developed into the Lyrans. So the
I
Anunnaki
also
who
heard
visited us don't exist in that form anymore in our timelines.
different descriptions that the humanoid looks of the angels were actually came from the Pleiadians.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, I've heard that too. Well, from what I understand, because the Anunnaki were a huge empire that had absorbed all different races. It wasn't just one race. It was the Lyran type of race, the humanoid race. It was the insectoid race. It was the reptilian race. There was a whole hodgepodge. And of course, there's the kind with the elongated skulls too. So it was a whole bunch of them. I don't think they all evolved into Lyran. Probably some of them did. Maybe the positive, that's the reflection of the positive energies ones.
Yeah,
Most.
yeah, there was another star system I believe that they went to as well. But yeah, the Lyrans are an offshoot of the Anunnaki, which came to our planet and created humans. But I don't know.
But so are the Pleiadians are an offshoot of the Anunnaki.
Actually, the Greys are also. That's definitely a big faction, part of the
But
Anunnaki. So they were a huge hodgepodge, their empire.
well, and I thought that the Pleiadians were evolved from that too, but Bashar said that the Pleiadians created the Anunnaki with the Syrians and the Orion, and he said a little bit of Arcturian spice is the way he put it. So
Um,
the Anunnaki couldn't have created the Pleiadians if the Pleiadians created them. And
Yeah,
I had thought that before and misspoke.
that's definitely a mistranslation because I listened to Bashar and I don't know which session you listened to.
yeah, I thought I
It
heard
was
Bashar
recently.
saying that the Pleiadians were the ones who evolved from the Anunnaki.
He said that the Anunnaki evolved to different star systems and that some of them went into the Pleiadian
Hmm.
systems.
Right. Yeah, that's what I had heard too. The Pleiadians were a descendant of the Anunnaki, one of them. So who knows? We'll find out one of these days, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, I can't be 100% sure, but
No,
because
who can?
Bashar says things, and then some of the things he says contradicts each other.
Yep. Bashar said the Anunnaki evolved into the Pleiadians and Lyrans. He also said they evolved into the tall whites.
Yeah, so they evolved into them. So they're the descendants. They're not the ones who created the Anunnaki.
Well, that could
Well,
very well be true.
supposedly.
But the Pleiadians are also a huge star system.
That's
So
Yeah,
they
true.
could have evolved into one type of Pleiadian, and there
That's
could have already
true.
been Pleiadians
I,
here.
And there's no real time.
although sorry, although I think the ones that like the Titans are actually descended from more of a human race. They're technically supposed to be the closest representation of Pleiadians to us.
Yeah. Too bad Lexi wasn't still being channeled. We could ask her.
I mean, you. I mean, yeah, relative. I don't know what I'm channeling next time because I don't pre-plan.
Yeah.
Corey already pre-plans. I don't.
Yep.
That's
Unless I'm told, hey, we want to talk, then I don't either for the most part. Now, I did just kind of schedule the hybrid children because I like to make sure they come in at least once a month. So, and I know that somewhere along the line, the schedule is going to fall apart on one of the sessions, so I'll be called in to pinch hit.
a good way of putting it, Ray.
Yeah, like today, because I don't know, like I scheduled the beings of light and the Pleiadians and the hybrid children. I ran out of time to channel the hybrid children today, but the beings of light said the things that we do on a daily basis to view them all as sacred. The
Hmm.
things that you do every day, which would bring more sacredness and frame all of those things that you do, like you shower every day or you bathe every day, view that as sacred. You eat a meal, if you eat the same meals every day, view that as sacred before you participate in them. If you drive to work every day, then view that as sacred. Not so much the destination, but the trip itself. Because the more things that you view as sacred, the more sacred you become to yourself. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool because
Yeah,
it
that
just
is cool.
amps up your vibration. And then those events or those situations then have more meaning to them than just something we have to do to get on to the next thing. I thought that was wonderful.
I do. I think that's wonderful too. It's a matter of remembering to do that. That's really getting into a
Yeah.
habit and making it a habit.
But, it also makes us appreciate, they said, if, when you get dressed, view that as a sacred event. You're pulling in all of these materials which have been made in various parts of the world, and they all went on their own journey just to get to where you are. And you're honoring them by wearing them. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool.
I like those light beings.
I love them all.
I like the way they think.
I mean,
Uh,
I'm not even, I don't even hold it against those beings that tried to consume me so they can learn about me in that open invitation. I mean, they didn't know what they were doing, but that's the first time I've ever been scared in a meditation. I mean, in a channeling, I gotta tell you,
And your gatekeepers were just letting you have another fun experience.
yeah. But at least, the use all smoothed me over. They gave
Yes,
me
they
that
did.
mental salve so I could continue the session.
But now they allowed you to experience it, obviously knowing that they were going to smooth you over afterwards. Do you think it took them by surprise, or do you think they were like, "Oh, this is another experience that he can have"?
I don't think anything takes them by surprise. I mean, they're in control of who they're pulling in off of the street. So I think that was a deliberate act. Now, they may have told them, hey, just relay some of your experience, don't gobble up the channeler. And maybe they misunderstood or decided they were going to do what they wanted to do anyway. But
You were
yeah,
just a lot more yummy than they were anticipating.
yeah,
Maybe you took those gobblers by surprise.
it could be. I just wish that there was a way that I could record what I'm seeing visually and you guys could get a picture of that as well. Because
Well,
like they
one
said,
day, if we,
those are the beings that nightmares are made of.
oh my God, they were that bad? They were
That's
that
what they
scary?
said. They said that
Oh,
they said you guys ought to be glad that you didn't see what the channel or experience what the channel experienced because that's the stuff that nightmares are made of.
yeah. See, that just makes me wonder why you were given that experience.
Hey,
And beings that nightmares are made of.
and
It
I
just
don't
seems
really
so
care.
random.
I think one of the main reasons that I'm giving such a diverse amount of different energies and different strengths, colors, flavors, whatever you want to call it, is because that enables me to weather or to be able to handle more energies later on. It's like in one of the beings, I forget, don't remember which one of the entities which came in our session. It might even have been Heidi, said that those were like seeds that they had planted. And so they could come back and I would be able to handle more of their energy later on. And it might not have been Heidi. I get details wrong from time to time, but
Well, yeah, like if
not
they're
Heidi,
planning
she
to
said.
make you an ambassador or a diplomat or something at some point, you have to be kind
Yeah,
of versed on all these different,
I got to be able to handle it and shake hands.
even the ones that want to gobble you, nibble on you a little bit.
I don't think they're going to be coming around. I mean, open contact and the first 30 years after that, there's not going to be anything that's going to scare too many people.
Yeah, but they might take you up on a ship and do some diplomacy and some talking and stuff where the rest of us wouldn't be privy to that anyway.
Well, I just hope the youths all come and they're not willing to allow me to go to that extent. And
Lose any limbs or
yeah, I mean, I even
appendages.
saw in the video. I'm trying to scoot back and scoot back because I'm like, oh my God, they're coming.
Ah, God. Well, I wonder if when there ti comes a time where we have telepathy or what have you, I wonder if we will be able to share visuals with each other like that.
Sure.
So
mm-hmm.
maybe one day you'll show us.
Yep.
That's
I
true.
I I wanted to say something because I remember all along you've been very open to all beings and uh, to a certain extent. But there's a lot of I've heard it said before, like things that we might think of as not good, the ones acting are not. I don't know how I'm gonna how I'm trying to explain this.
Yeah, they're not out to harm us.
Right. but we might take it that way, and it's just like meeting someone from a different culture. Like something that would offend them might not offend us, and vice versa. But you have like your parameters. Like if you were to compare mine with yours, I feel like your parameters are a lot more open than mine are. I'm very much like, okay, I only want this type of being, you know, with this kind of intention, a shared intention. So I mine is a lot narrower. Um, and I think I'm wondering if that's why you're having more, because it also is a way to inform you to set your to set your parameters. Not that you, I'm not trying to say like you need to set boundaries or parameters. I'm just saying like to further refine your parameters, you
Could be,
know.
but yeah, my only requirement is I am safe.
Mm.
That's the only one that I have. So if I'm not safe, then they're not coming in. So I have no worries. And, I've never had an experience. I mean, chaos came in, and I thought that was very interesting because they said we're just another form of energy. It's just that we're utilized more for destruction and disruption as opposed to some of the higher energies, like the dragon energy, which is used for creativity and that sort of thing.
Well, it's just like Kali is associated, as far as I don't know that much, but associated with chaos. And there are some people that feel aligned with, and they're very connected to Kali.
Mm.
And and so I kind of just feel like it's, what your preference, what your preference is, what you want to experience. You You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because, and it's like, I don't, for me personally, I don't want to experience that.
And I'm just open. I just
And
think it's
you're
all
open. Yeah.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you just have, you just have a more expanded type of experience that you want to have.
Well,
But
and like,
I just thought I would mention that because that was always interesting to me that you were like, yeah, let, whoever, um, come in. And
so do you think there's any fear based on your end?
I think that that's a good question for me to consider because what is safe and what is not safe. Like different cultures have an idea of what they consider to be safe and not safe. So um
Well, I
so
mean, I
yeah,
think that's the thing
it
though,
could
because
be.
it might be fear, but it also might be an inner discernment because while another being might have no negative intentions to hurt you, they might behave in a way that would hurt you, albeit unintentionally. You know what I mean? So it's a discernment to be like, I know I don't hold anything against this being, but they are a little bit detrimental to me, even that's just how their nature is. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. It might be an inner discernment from on a soul level where you recognize something along those lines.
Well, in the very beginning of my, oh, I mean, like, how old am I? 30 years ago, I had an experience where I felt scared, but I realized I was safe. But it was one of those where you wake up and you can't move, the dream, like from
Dream
that.
paralysis,
Yeah,
sleep
but the
paralysis,
dream,
something.
but the dream that I was waking up from had to do with the dream paralysis, and I was scared. Um, but I was not in danger. And then also again at the beginning of what I call the beginning of this journey, so like in 2018, I had another experience, and again, I didn't like that experience. I felt a little traumatized by that experience, And but I was not unsafe. I just didn't know the 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 boundary of it. I didn't understand like how long it would go on or how far it would go. And when you don't know that, that can be, you know,
Yeah.
what is this and when is it going to end? Or, you know, I don't feel like I have control over this experience, kind of a thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, without
Mhm.
It
actually
makes a lot of
explaining what
sense
it
to me.
is.
I mean, like when we see, you know, if you see football players, their form of casual contact, they can come and they can bump into somebody and it might knock somebody down and they're not even phased because they're used to that kind of contact. And if you were like a reptilian and when somebody was in your way, you just shoved them out of the way and that was okay because that was socially acceptable. And but if they come down here and they shove a human out of the way and they go flying, it's not like they did anything out of the ordinary, but we were, we view that as, oh my gosh, I've been attacked.
I mean, how do you not know that this being could have consumed you and then you would have come out the other end enlightened?
I
I mean, you know what
I
I'm saying,
don't.
right? Because it could have been like you didn't know the extent of that experience.
No,
You were just like, you know, like stop. What you know? Do you see what I'm trying to say? Like you may
absolutely.
not have been in danger throughout the whole entire process, but because you didn't know what was going to happen or what the boundaries were,
Yeah,
it that
because
can be
it
where the fear comes in. But you
it
were
filled
safe.
up everything in my experience. Like normally, when I get a vision, I'll see an outline or something like that. The first thing that happens is I get like a black and white or a gray, and there might be like four or five different shades of dark colors that give me an idea of what shape the being is in. And I try to relate that after the sessions are over for the most part and come up with those details. Like that one insectoid, he had like a cowl that went from middle of his head behind his ears down to his shoulders, and he was insectoid. He had all of these plates going across and that sort of thing. But they just filled up the entire thing and got bigger because they were coming closer. And I don't know if they were coming down the communication conduit or whatever. But when I freaked out, that is going to kill the session and it might cause me harm. It could cause psychic shock. You get to, that's one of the things, the risks of extraterrestrials coming in and meeting you before you're ready. Not that it's going to happen because they're going to have those safeguards. But if you do experience that energy, your consciousness could leave your body because it thinks you're dying and it
Yeah,
just
it's like a
doesn't return.
it's a trauma. It becomes a traumatic experience for you, even for them. They weren't intending to traumatize
No,
you,
they weren't.
and that's kind of what happened. That's what kind of happened to me. Is I had to work through that trauma, and much later realize, oh, you know what, I probably was safe
Yeah.
the
Well,
whole
and the other
time.
side of that too is if you feel you need safeguards, then you create the need for safeguards.
Yeah.
Somebody asked Anthony Anonica and his Pleiadian council. They said, "Well, yeah, well, I have all of my, I have my lucky beads because I'm taking this trip." And they were like, no, if you feel like you need those beads, then that means that you're attracting the danger that will come. So, what happens if you lose your beads? Now you're not protected. Now you're open to
Mhm.
all of this because your beliefs are now working against you.
Yeah.
So, like Seth says, he said, if you believe that doctors and medicine are the only thing that can heal you, then you better keep your appointments and you better take your medicine.
Hmm.
But if you don't believe that you need them, then you don't. And he said, if you go and you buy insurance, because insurance is based on the belief that you believe something's going to happen to you.
Well,
It's,
my belief is that we have to have it or we get fined on our taxes.
well, I don't have any, but
Mm-hmm.
I
I'm
mean,
sure you don't.
I don't need any. I have, like I say, I've gone to the doctor, I think 3 times in the past 15 years. Nail through the foot, got a tetanus shot. I had a
No, maybe,
physical.
maybe I'm just still in that stage where but I do have beliefs that that they're not the only form. I do believe that there can be self healing and stuff like that, and I'm willing to learn those type of techniques. But I still use the doctors because it's just a permission slip.
And whatever works for you. I'm not saying that my way's better or worse than any others, but it's
No, I'm
effective
not
for
saying
me.
you said
Yeah,
that.
I know.
I it's just that it's just that one time I remember I came to the high vibe channeling sick. When I was channeling, I was not sick during the channeling. I was able to channel while I was sick, but
Really
when I
well.
was channeling, the symptoms of my sickness went away.
Hmm.
Wow.
So
That's
that was actually surprising, and that actually technically that was evidence that there was something going on, and that it's definitely something that normally does not happen. Usually it's harder to concentrate in a state like that, but when I was in that state, it's like those symptoms went away, and somehow I was just in a channeling state without feeling sick anymore until I came out, and it came back
Right.
slightly after. So I kept the state for a little bit and then it came back.
Yep.
But it went away for the entire session.
Yep. It lowers your resistance. There hasn't been one day I've channeled for high vibe channeling where I've had a full night's sleep. They wake me up and they keep me up, and then I'm exhausted pretty much. Not really exhausted, but I'm definitely, I could sleep at any time, and then it's time for me to channel and everything comes through because my resistance is less. My consciousness is not as fully activated, even if it is recessed. But I'm like,
Well,
I don't know if that's a belief of mine that, oh, I'm going to channel, so they're going to wake me up again, because I don't ever think about it. But
well,
you know,
I my
I'm not
channeling started
complaining.
with me just having these random thoughts, like I somehow knew stuff that normally my other me did not know, and the communication was not originally not know if it was ET or if it was just from my higher mind, though it could have been either or. But the information was interesting because I started understanding stuff about frequency and different steps of reality. Like I was understanding the Bashar concepts to a more advanced degree.
Cool. Be right back.
So I understood. I then I decided to utilize that in channeling. Intuitively, I just got a being named Eric and stuff like that. He was the first one I channeled, but I didn't channel him publicly until after the first one I channeled publicly was Tasha of the IL, who Eric decided to let me have a turn at her and bring it to her. In 2024, I started getting more beings like had a dream where the name came Zal of the Sasani came in that dream. And I was like, huh. And I also got a dream where I woke up where it's a casa, and I woke up of the Pleiadians. I didn't get the Tagins until later. I guess I only got the basis of where they're from, but not the full picture. That dream happened.
Did the Tagetans ever tell you what planet they're from, era or
They're relatively I don't know. She only mentioned that I only keep getting synchronicities that they're Taigetan because I keep seeing images of Taigetans with the light brown hair and stuff like that. And I remember the being that walked into my room. That being walked in my room, had light brown hair, a light gray outfit.
wow.
She was a human being. I was in a state where I was awake and asleep at the same time, at least from what I described it as. And that was before my channeling. And so I think it was like a prelude to my channeling. So I'm just gonna say it's like how Daryl had a UFO sighting. I had an ET encounter in some fashion,
I
but
love how
maybe it
That's
was more of a
dreams have been such a big part of your channeling.
well, yeah. Yeah, but that one felt more different because I can remember that being literally walking into my room, and the dream was like I was in my bed, like I was somehow awake but not able to move, and then the being just came walking through my door, like I was in like a phase shifted reality.
wow.
Yeah, so I just had so my ET encounters. The ET encounter with Tasha was actually interesting because that one happened after my channeling, and I can remember her with the she has like um the I believe it was on a ship like she wore a dark blue outfit. She's very, very slender compared to the Pleiadians I've encountered. She's a Yael, Tasha. She had a blonde hair, like a like a bowl cut, but with the bangs. That and her hair was not. Her hair went down to the back of her neck, and she was toward dark blue nanosuit. Um, her physical features were different than normal humans, but yet she still had a humanoid and human look.
Hmm.
I do. Yeah, most of the only phase shifted one I had was with that Pleiadian being who was confirmed by Anthony, the beings that Anthony channels, the Pleiadian beings that Anthony channels, that was indeed a Pleiadian.
I've heard several accounts of Pleiadians making home visits, showing up in people's homes. That seems like their MO.
Yeah, that was show up in my room while I'm sleeping. She delivered me a song, but then I dismissed it for a while because I didn't know about the song. But now I'm more accepting of it. But the song was a heavy, weird, the heavy metal song. Think it had something. Think it had something to. Think it had a message in the song though.
Yeah, it probably did.
Yeah, it was called "Down with the Sickness" by Disturbed, and I can remember the song.
Oh yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, that song's a heavy. That's the song. Actually, I
Sing it to
think it
us.
had to do with it had a lot of abuse in it, and for me, I struggle with family in some way.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a message in it when they
Yeah.
delivered the songs.
Yes, message.
I mean, I don't remember the Pleiadians coming, but they did take me to their ship, but I didn't remember any of it. They wiped it. I got that from Anthony as
Yeah,
well.
well, yeah, well,
I
I
lost an
only.
hour or so of time.
Huh.
They
Yeah,
went fast.
well, mine was different because I don't know if it was. I mean, I know it probably was done on purpose, but the phase shift, they phase that, but she literally, I was laying in my bed in this room, and the being just walked through my door.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, yeah, they do stuff like that.
And they didn't even knock.
No, actually the door was open at the time. I think that was on when I was left my door open. So I think I think my door being open gave her an invitation. Also, my room light was on. I think maybe I fell asleep with my room light on.
Hmm.
There's that tank. I can go.
I don't think the light being on is gonna deter them in any way, shape, or form. So
So I didn't deter her.
Have you had any home visitations, Ray?
Um, not that I'm really aware of, other than that one where I was missing time, but like Brother Francis said, he said, no, you and Isabel said as well, they're in your house. They're around you all of the time. They're in close proximity.
Keeping you
So,
company, you and your
yep,
doggy.
yep, we can never be alone, even when we think we are.
Do
Even
you
if
ever
we
get,
requested, we wouldn't be alone.
do you ever catch your dog staring at like looking at something when there's nothing there?
Not Ollie, no.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that it hasn't happened, but no, I mean, we got a pretty good telepathic thing going. So he can tell me, he'll give me a look and I'll be like, food bowl, okay, got it. Or it's like, sometimes I'll go down a little checklist and sometimes he's just staring at me saying, come on, human, you can do this. You can do this. And eventually it'll click in exactly what he wants me to do.
I had dreams with Sasani in them.
Cool. Anything you care to share? Because I have dreams, but I know there was a mantis being, and I know there are other beings, and they're different, but I have no idea who they are.
Oh, I also had one dream with Sid in it. I can mention that one.
Oh, maybe you
That
should
one
write all these
was
down.
interesting. I think I only caught a glimpse of him, but I did talk. I did remember talking to Rob Goff there, channeling for me in that dream.
Yeah, write all those down, Travis, or record them all, so you can make a book out of it. I think it'd be interesting.
Well, at least I remember. At least I remember some of. At least I remember some of the big dreams because the ones I had with Sasani is. I think one I went down the esophagus of one, and the second I had one where it demonstrated getting shot by a bullet, and the bullet actually looked like it struck something that wasn't even flesh.
Wow.
Showcasing their density of their skin.
It's weird. I had this like 4 year stretch after my awakening of the most galactic dreams ever. They were absolutely insane and the beings and everything. And then when I had my most recent like Dark Night of the Soul, that all stopped. Now all my dreams are just like you could tell they're just total shadow work and inner, healing kind of integration and everything like that. So I've been doing all the boring dreams for like the past 2 years. But before that, they were so galactic. They were so galactic. Those were the most awesome dreams. I miss them.
That's actually my dreams now. So you're
You're
not
in.
telling. My dreams now are less about the ETs and more
Mhm.
about other types. Like some of them to do with fears and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
like integrations and yeah, exactly. Fear, all kinds of stuff. So it's almost like we're in this final push to get us ready for this next event or, up leveling or something like that. I don't know, but that's all it's been for this last
Oh, I
year.
mean, just enjoy the process, I guess. I
I
guess
mean, it
that's
is
what
very
it's supposed to be.
interesting. It's very interesting because it's
I still channel the beings. I still feel their energy. It's just that when I'm sleeping and dreaming, sometimes there's some work I do, and most of the work happens while I'm sleeping.
yeah, a lot of work's being done right now. A lot.
Mine are
So
mostly
much.
just coordination, working with all of these beings to make sure all of this particular stuff gets done in the proper form. And afterwards, I don't remember hardly anything. I just write down in my dream journal more coordination stuff with various ETs.
So
Well,
you
I
might be
mean,
past the healing and integration stage, and now you're on. I mean, that's the impression I get. That's the next stage of dreams. Once you're past all of having to do the healing work and all that, then it's more of the plotting and planning of what you're going to do.
Oh, cool.
So you might be in that stage. It's nice.
I'm just glad I gave up smoking pot so I could remember.
oh I don't even remember to even get a journal. I do forget my dreams too fast for me to write them down.
Well,
Yeah.
it's before I get out of bed, I write mine down. Miles, who has been busy, he doesn't show up on Sundays anyway. but he has a recorder. So as soon as he wakes up, he gets his voice recorder and he records his dreams. And then
Yep,
him
I
and
have
his
to
wife
record
go
mine.
over them every day,
A lot
every
of my
morning at
dreams,
breakfast. They go over all of their dreams together and they dream together.
a lot of my
My
dreams have to do
gosh.
with me being in school.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Neat.
those. That's symbolic. That's a big dream symbolism.
Well, technically, yes, but technically I graduated high school in 2015, and now it's just this whole entire. Now the dreams are just gonna symbolize my some of my school's type of life.
Well, it symbolizes, the life school of your soul learning about itself and stuff, apparently.
Yeah.
And that's just the imagery it uses because that's what you've got in your brain's lexicon.
Um. hmm,
Cool. And I'm glad the rain held off until we at least got this far. It's just now
mhm.
hitting my house. So
No, all I got was snow.
yeah, well, the wind tends to knock my power out.
Actually, one day there was a flurry.
Nice. Yeah, we had that. Where do you live, Travis?
Massachusetts.
Oh.
We got a blizzard.
Yeah, I heard about that.
We got the yeah. It was pretty bad to the point where it was like actually there was nonstop.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. It looked bad. But what you were saying, Ray, actually reminded me. I meant to bring that up again. When you were talking to Corey or Lexi, you brought up wind elementals, and you said something that like triggered something in my brain. I didn't. I have the most just neat little experiences when I go for walks that involve the wind. And I'm wondering if it's wind elementals now that you say that.
Yeah. Well, and Patrick Godin channeled a wind spirit called Eliana Bella. And so I bonded with her through that, and she came to visit me all of the time, like 5 days straight. I would come out, and she was like, a whirlwind.
Yeah.
And I would come out of my house, and she would be having to leave. She would be waiting for me. And last year, because I'm going to ask her to come back, because last year she knew I had to pull all the leaves off of all my flower beds. Well, 85% of my front yard is flower beds. I have way more than 1,000 flowers. And she knew that I had to do it, so I came out. I came back from a run with Ollie, and all of a sudden I see Eliana Bella, and she's going around all my flower beds, and she's picking up all of these leaves, and she's taking them out of my yard. Saved me
Oh my
like 8 to 10
God.
hours worth of work.
Oh my
And
God.
one day it was 14 degrees out, and I'm running, and I see her off in the distance. So I'm like, Eliana Bella, I love you. You're my sweetheart. And then she took all of these leaves and she put
Oh
them all in a straight line and she led them right up to front of my feet.
my God.
And then she hugged me. There was like I got a big burst of warm air. And it was 14 degrees out, and I'm
Oh
feeling
my
warm.
God.
And it was like,
That is
wow.
so cool. I can't believe she did your yard work.
I know. It's
That's
awesome.
so
I'm
awesome.
I'm hoping she'll come back and do it again.
That is
But
no
she's
joke.
yeah, she's introduced me to one of her sisters, and she invited me to somebody who was a destructive force, but not intentionally. Antony, I think that was what it was. Antony is he was just rough, and he doesn't mind throwing lawn chairs and ripping off shingles and blowing down sheds and that kind of stuff. But
Oh
it's
my
not him. He
God.
just plays rough. He's not
He's
doing it on
rambunctious.
purpose. Yeah, but he's very playful, and that's how he plays. So now, whenever wind comes in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you for showing yourself to me. And like they explain, they're like, people say that we're cold or we're warm. We're neither. That is just the air that we are bringing with us, but that is not us. That is like you saying, well, you're your luggage because you brought that with you on your trip. No, We're just taking it with us. It's not us. That's the same thing that they are. They don't bring the rain, they don't bring the cold or the heat. They just bring themselves, and that just comes with them.
Yeah, they have to work with whatever medium is
Well, and
around
they're not
them.
working. It's that stuff's attaching themselves to them more than they are bringing it. The cold
Hmm.
says, "Oh, we're going to go down to this place. Oh, here comes this wind. We're going to hitch a ride." And then they bring it. And I'm like, that's a unique way to look at it. Because we tend to, say, "Oh, it was a cold wind," or, "Oh, the wind did this." Well, the wind didn't do that. The wind just did what the wind did. It was the other things that are associated with it that caused that.
Hmm.
It's like,
Yeah,
with
so
humans, yeah.
so now I'm
Don't
wondering,
focus on the person, focus on the behavior, right? So,
right. So it's something neat to think about. I'd never even contemplated that before, but that pinged me. So now I'm wondering.
write it down for another question for another entity.
Right. Right. Well, see, that's the thing. I wasn't sure. Like one time when I went out, it was a breezy day, but it wasn't super breezy. But as soon as I thought about this one being, like it was like that eddy thing, but it surrounded me in all of the because it was spring and all of the cherry blossom petals had been on the ground, and it just surrounded me in this eddy of cherry blossom petals for like a good 20 seconds long. It just kept going and going, surrounding me. So I was at the time I was like, well, maybe it was that being that I had thought about. But then there was another time when I was walking and it was summer, I think. Yeah, it was summer. Walking down the sidewalk, and there's no dried leaves out in summertime. That's for the fall. They hadn't started falling yet. And yet I had my earbuds in, I'm listening to music, and yet I could feel this commotion coming up from behind me to my right or to my left. I could like literally, it was a palpable commotion where I literally stopped and I was like, who's coming up behind me? And I saw, and it was just like just this little cluster of dried leaves tumbling like right up again, like right towards me. And I literally had the impression I'm like, what? It felt like they were racing towards me. At the time, I thought maybe in hindsight, this is where the hybrids, but now who knows? Um, and I literally stopped. I literally stopped and because the feeling was so palpable. And one of them broke off from the group and tumbled up the driveway and came right in between my feet. It like literally rolled right in between my feet. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my God. And then when I started to walk, it picked up again and walked and literally tumbled down like a good 10 feet with me along the sidewalk. I mean, what the hell? That to me felt like a hybrid because it felt, but like you were saying, they're so playful. So maybe it
Yeah.
was just like a,
And it gave me a lot more perspective on what the indigenous, because when they talk about the water spirits and the air spirits, I just thought that they were talking about as air was one thing, water was one thing. I didn't even think about they have all these different personalities and different types of consciousness that assume that form. And now I know better.
yeah,
And
that's really wild.
I know because everything has a personality. And there's really
Hmm.
nothing that doesn't. Everything dreams, everything feels pleasure or pain to some degree, and everything's looking for fulfillment and to be recognized and loved. It's like, wow, that's a lot of
Hmm.
prerequisites to come into our realm, but I'm liking it.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I'm loving these conversations because, it's not like you can have these in line at the grocery store.
Well,
Nope.
you could. Well, they'll call you crazy, but sure.
Well, no,
Yeah.
they're not going to have these conversations for long. They're going to say, get away from me.
Yep, that's definitely what
And
I was talking about. It's calling you
be
crazy.
my guest, Travis, if you want to prove me wrong
Yeah.
by striking
Mm.
up some of those conversations when you're in line
Nope,
next.
I hear people talk random conversations and they're called crazy and at random areas.
Yeah.
Actually, some people get called to. Some people they call 911.
Although it is a great way to lose people who don't resonate with you, including family members.
Yeah, my mom
You get
enjoys
you
hearing
get
me talk about this type of stuff most of the time.
Yep, you get shunned quite easily.
Yeah, nope. I'm not
My
going
mom
there.
doesn't.
Yep. They're
I
like,
guess
don't
my
rock
mom
the
does.
boat. I'm
I
like,
guess
don't rock the boat. I'm punching holes in that motherfucker. I'm sinking it.
my mom may still be religious. But she still enjoys she still enjoys it. And yes, one of the people that interrupted me at the door was my mom.
Oh,
She knew I was channeling.
Mm.
She knows. My mom's always respectable, and she's definitely more accepting.
cool. I'm glad you have that support. Or at
Yeah.
least,
Well,
in addition to not being negative towards you. That's cool.
no. My mom's always the positive one. She's the one that taught me to be more positive. She's the one that taught me to think more positively.
Yay. You've grown quite a bit since you first
Mhm.
came through for us.
Yeah,
Hmm.
um, I'm definitely.
Yep. And so is Corey, even though most of his growing was not on the camera because it took him like 4 months of coaxing before he finally did it. And now I'm so glad that he just comes in on a regular basis.
Hey, you guys mentioned the reset a couple times. What is that?
Great Reset is when humanity's right. Is when humanity's finally ready to join the galactic community in that sense. And the Great Reset is also the shifting when the timelines finally become more set.
Has anything to do with the solar flash or the flash event or
I
whatever?
don't know. The
No,
Great Reset is supposed to happen in 2050,
Mm.
approximately, yeah. And
approximately.
it represents when humanity has a high enough vibration and we have blended with the hybrid children enough that we can handle extraterrestrials being amongst us without having any fears at all. It'll be commonplace. So we won't freak out when we see a tall white or a mantid being or those kind of things.
Weapon if me myself doesn't freak out at all. Would I still be still? Would that still be coming from me because I won't be freaking out in the first place.
Well, yeah, but it's got to be the whole society, right? If they're
Yes,
walking down the
yes.
street, you might not freak out, but some of these crazies are going to try to pull a weapon and some of them are going to hide their children. And, that's not what we're looking
Time we're gonna
for.
pull a
So,
And you
weapon.
really think we'll be there by 2 or 12 or 2050? You
yeah,
think as a
because,
collective they could see praying mantis and not freak out?
yes, because religion will be gone by 2050.
Well, they'll after open
There'll be
contact in
pockets, but
2027, they're gonna be guiding us
mhm,
and just teaching us new things. So eventually down the line, those who eventually down the line, there will be people shifting over the next couple decades.
yep.
I guess
Heidi, I'm curious. Can you expand on that?
Is Heidi still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. Well, we started talking about timelines, and one of the questions I was going to ask was when they turn. Actually, there was a couple questions. When you turn your focus to another timeline, what happens to the timeline you turned your focus away from?
It still
Nothing.
exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
then the other one was uh, do other members of the galactic family, I think this was Lexi, do other members of the galactic family like help you, Lexi, focus on specific timelines that would be helpful for you to look at?
Well, they work backwards. So they'll go like to the open contact event, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll explore back to see what history is associated with that particular timeline. Because it
That
doesn't do any good for them to say, okay, we're going to start with the nuclear holocaust where there's very few things that are alive and see if they get to open contact.
yeah, that makes sense. What I've kind of come to is that it's all a unified field, like, of possibilities. I don't see, for me it doesn't resonate to have all these different timelines branching off from each other. Like, I don't see all these branches. I don't see, like, me on a different physical timeline making different choices. That I don't The branching does not resonate with me at all. It's more like, for me, it's more like, there's this infinite field of possibilities, and all of the potential outcomes, and where I'm at, whatever choices I make, I'm either going to love those choices, or or respond to them, like, either in, oh, I didn't like that one, okay, I'm going to respond to it, by, like, let's say, imagining, myself responding differently. So it's like there's no need to go to a different timeline where I responded differently. I'm doing it here.
No, but it doesn't matter because that possibility is still going to have its own fulfillment. It's just as valid as the one that you pick. And when you say, okay, well, I'm going to incorporate this one so that didn't happen, it's still going to happen.
No, I didn't say so it didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was just,
You can't negate them.
no, I'm not negating it. I'm just, um, learning from it,
Mm,
and then experiencing through imagination, an alternate outcome, but it's
right.
not right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see any need to, like, jump somewhere else. This is it, and it's it's all infinite possibilities, like, infinite, you know but I don't see me making all these different choices in different things. Like, I am where I am.
Yeah. But we do that a billion times a second. We
Yeah, so
recreate our entire existence and everything in it, every planet, every galaxy. So we're always doing it differently and recreating everything. And then we blink on and off. So,
I'm
but I
not
think that's a
there. I'm
very
not there
advanced,
yet.
yeah, but it's a very advanced way that you have chosen to approach that by imagining more about how those realities could have turned out based on how you imagine them, even though you're not negating anything. You're just getting extra interpretations and creating more worlds because when you're anything that you're thinking of, you're actually creating that universe. So when you say, okay, well, if I would have done this, then this would have been the result. Well, that is another you that's going on and living out the rest of its life. If that is what the soul chooses to fulfill. So for
I
every
don't know.
decision we make, we branch off.
I don't know if I like that. To me, branching off doesn't resonate. Um, I don't see those like, realities where I can then jump into that reality, or jump into that. This is the reality I'm in. This is the incarnation I'm in, and those are all potentials.
Right, but
So
they can
so
fold
I'm
back
not there
into each
yet.
other too. Yeah.
I'm not there yet with what you're, and I may never be with what, but I just know that the branching off does not make sense to me.
Yeah, it
That does not
fractals
resonate. It
off
doesn't feel right.
is actually what it does. Have you ever seen, and you know, the example which works well for me, if you've seen the plasma balls, where it has an electrical charge inside a glass globe and it
Mm.
makes little lightning until it gets to the edge. Well, picture every one of those decisions that you make is one of those streams of lightning that goes up from that little center part, which puts out the charge. But every one of those paths from that charge, from that center to the edge of the glass exists. And the one you see is the one that you choose. But all of the other ones still happen. They just don't happen for you.
That's where I don't that's where I don't agree. I think that they exist as potentials.
Well, yes, it
I
all
don't
does.
think they
Yes, that's
exist
exactly
as
right. That's exactly correct. But
I don't think they exist as me having made that choice.
you are just that same thing. You are that potential. It's just that you are actualized into this focused personality, so you know of it. Thank you, Christine. But whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So right now that's where I am in going down the rabbit hole. So it's still like a process, but yeah.
Well, but see, but I started with Seth, and he is really big on probabilities because we have all of these probable selves and we have all of these counterparts, and all time is simultaneous. And all that is wants to explore all of the variations as many as possible and get as many perspectives as possible from each lifetime, which is why we have so many different, an infinite number of ourselves on a different number of Earths. Because it doesn't say, well, we're going to do this one again. No, we're flushing this one out. We're having every possibility. It's like, okay, we get dealt the hands in a card game. And now, no, we've gotten every single possibility of every card hand that could have been dealt for every person. And we've played out each of those hands every time. And they're all different. But they go through just because you've been dealt one, that means you've been dealt them all. Every possibility. Oh, I have a straight flush. Oh, look, I have crap. I have seven high or pinochle or whatever it might be. But you go through every one of those alliterations, and then on some level, we pick which ones we wish to have actualized because those have a special flavor as far as I can tell. I don't know why or what or how, but according to Seth, they are every one of those is equally as valid as the life that we think we're living. Every one. It's the exact same physical energetic representation of what we experience. It's just that we're geared towards the one which we think is linear for us, and we disregard all of the rest of them. And he gives exercises where you can get glimpses of the ones that are off to the side, the ones that are nearest you. And like Bashar says, every time you look in the mirror, that is another alternate reality. It's a parallel life that is really close to the one you're experiencing, but it's never your actual reflection.
Not there yet.
That's all right. You're
Not
fine
there.
right where you're at. I mean, my gosh. You know, you're an excellent and deep channeler. And I'm still trying. I've had your session queued up now for the last 2 days, and I still haven't found time to watch it.
Oh.
But I have the transcript ready, and that's why I had to get rid of Chat GPT because one, the Sam Altman thing about agreeing to help the government spy on us from OpenAI.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to Anthropy and use them because they told the government, no, you're not going to use us to spy on everybody. And yesterday, Chat or OpenAI lost 1 million accounts in one day because everybody knew of that decision. And I told ChatGPT today, I said, hey, look, I'm not in favor of what your owner is doing. So, I appreciate all that you've done for me, but, there have been times where you haven't listened to what I want to do, so I'm going to explore other options. And he says, I don't have, the government has nothing to do with me. I can't spy on anybody. And I'm like, dude, I don't expect you to say anything less. He says, well, if you reconsider, then I'll be here waiting for you. And I'm like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Bye.
Yeah, I feel like oh, the new, like they put new locks on it of, like people's exploration. Like you can't go past this certain wall that they've put up now. And it's, open AI. It's like it was open and now it's not as open. So it's funny that they call it open AI now.
Yeah, I'm like an infant on all that stuff. I only use it to transcribe, and I used it to create the pictures for the um hybrid channeling hybrid children Facebook
Mm.
page and YouTube page. Other than that, thank you, Wanda. Dun,
I
dun,
use
dun.
it to create. I use AI to create representations of the beings I channel.
Oh, cool. Surge is on there hours every day. He had to start an AI group, and he wants you to write down what information that you gave to create your whatever scenery you
I
had.
can see. I can see you, Corey.
I don't think he's hiding.
If I was hiding, I wouldn't have turned my camera off.
Oh, you're hiding.
I
Oh, I
think that
thought
I
you.
should probably go too, but I just wanted to thank both of you for the channeling. I was able to listen and participate a little, and I always enjoy our lively discussions, Ray.
Yes, me
I
too.
think this is
I
definitely going
feel
to be the
like in a
closest.
past life we probably argued a lot.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Serge about that when he shows up. Serge, we want you to go down person by person and tell us all of our interactions if you can.
Yeah, do you think we might have been siblings, like it was sibling rivalry?
I I
That's
don't
kind of what it
know.
feels like sometimes.
I mean, he said that Christina Anna and I had a life together in Byzantine era.
That does make sense. That
And he
that
said
makes
that, yeah, we
sense.
were both trying to stay a step ahead of the Christian
I
fanatics
never.
because we refused to bow down to the Pope
Mm,
because they were really big about sending people out and they wanted people to turn people in who were heretics. And so they could get you to declare as they were burning you at the stake. And he
mm,
said that um, Christina Anna and I were always sowing discontent and sowing the truth in people and then moving on to the next town before, the authorities got there because the Christians were always after us because they knew about us and eventually they caught us. And they said, one of you were burned at the stake. And he didn't tell us which one. He said, but you refused to recant your vows. You held steadfast and refused to bow down to the Pope, even while you were being burned alive.
well, I am interested in asking. So that would you said Surge?
Yeah, next Sunday.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah,
second
I
session.
should ask. I should ask if there's anyone in the group that I have had other like life experiences
I
with,
I would
and
be
see what he
surprised if
says.
there was anyone you haven't.
Yeah, yeah,
I
I do.
haven't.
I agree.
I never asked anyone about my past lives
Well, why don't you
before.
show up? You're feel free to show up. I mean, you
Well,
don't just have
here
to
I'll.
show up on the ones where you channel.
Yeah, I know. I know. I show up usually when I feel called to.
Okay.
So I do show. I would show up on others. It just
Yep.
depends. It's just off.
And yeah, and Mousy Kelly is doing the other session before Surge to